Every function you've written so far has a name. You define it with def, then call it by that name whenever you need it. But sometimes you need a function just once for a single small job, and giving it a name feels like overkill. Python lets you build a function with no name at all, a lambda or anonymous function. Today we'll see what it is, how to write it, and when to use one. Recall the function we built last time, called apply. What made it unusual was its first parameter. That parameter, criteria, is itself a function. This works because in Python, functions are just objects. Anywhere you can use an integer or a float, you can also use a function, including passing one as an argument. Inside apply, we treat criteria as a function that takes a number and returns a boolean. So we loop over each I, called criteria of I, and use that boolean directly as the condition of an if statement, counting how many values pass. When we call apply, the first argument is a function and the second is an integer. Now look closely at a function like isEven. Its whole body is a single line. It takes an input and immediately returns whether that input is even. There's no real computation, no multiple steps, nothing that needs a full function definition with its own name. Writing def, picking a name, and setting up a whole block feels heavy for something this small. This is exactly the situation a lambda function is built for. A lambda lets you create a function that does one simple thing, but without ever giving it a name. So the tidy little functions we keep writing by hand can be rewritten as anonymous functions instead. Here is that same isEven test written as a lambda. Lambda x colon x mod 2 is equal to 0. Let's break it into its pieces. First, the keyword lambda. It isn't the name of the function. It just signals to Python that we're defining a nameless function inline in one line. Next come the parameters the function expects. Here that's a single parameter, x. If you needed more, you'd separate them with commas. After the parameters comes a colon. Then finally the body, a single simple expression. Notice what's missing. There is no return keyword. In a lambda, you just write the expression whose value you want back, and that value is automatically returned. So the expression x mod 2 is equal to 0 is the body, and its Boolean result is what the lambda hands back. Let's put this to work. Last time we also defined a simple name function is 5, which returns whether its input is equal to 5. Running apply with is 5, and the integer 10 prints 1. Because among the integers it checks. Only one of them, 5 makes is 5 return true. Now rewrite is 5 as a lambda. Lambda x colon x is equal to 5. Again, lambda signals an anonymous function. Its one input is x, then a colon, then the body x is equal to 5, with no return. There's no name here at all, yet it behaves exactly like the named is 5. So when we call apply with this lambda and 10, it also prints 1. The named version and the anonymous version give the identical result. Here's another way to see anonymous functions. Suppose you want to evaluate isEven of 8. To run that, you have needed to define isEven somewhere above. But it's so simple and used just once that we can drop it in as a lambda right where we need it. Look at this expression. In parentheses, lambda x colon x mod 2 is equal to 0, and then 8 in its own parentheses right after. Read the first part. Lambda x colon x mod 2 is equal to 0, as the entire function definition written in line with no name. Read the trailing parentheses around 8 as calling that function with the argument 8. So the whole thing defines a function and immediately calls it on 8. 8 mod 2 is 0, which is equal to 0, so the expression evaluates to true. Exactly what isEven of 8 will give. You reach for a lambda in exactly one situation. When you need a quick function, you don't plan to reuse. That single-use nature is also its main limitation. Because a lambda has no name, it's never stored in memory under 1, which means there's no way to refer back to it later. If you build some behavior as a lambda and then want it again, you can't just call it by name because there is no name. you have to copy the whole lambda expression and paste it again wherever you need it. Think back to apply. When we pass the named is even, we wrote apply, then is even, then the integer. With a lambda, there's no name to pass, so instead we drop the entire lambda expression right into the call in place of the name. We define the function and hand it over as the argument, all in one place. Let's gather the key ideas. First, in Python, functions are objects, so a function can be passed as an argument to another function. That's what made apply possible. Second, a lambda builds a nameless one-line function. The keyword lambda, then parameters, then a colon, then a single expression with no return keyword. Third, lambdas are for quick single-use functions. Because they have no name, they can be stored, reused, or called by name later. When a job is small and one-time, a lambda is the clean, concise tool for it. To practice what you just learned, this course has free exercises and AI-graded feedback on ludium.ai. The link is in the description.